All right, welcome to LA Angels Insider Radio. I'm Jason Brennan here tonight along with Morgan Spokny and Eric Denton. If you found us tonight, you must have found the new site on Fan versus Fan. Eric Denton in here tonight to kind of unveil the new site and what's going on. Eric, what new and exciting things do readers and listeners have to look forward to on the new LA Angels Insider?
Well, it's going to be basically the same stuff that you were used to.
Same stuff,
but it's going to be a lot easier to look at, a lot easier to download. Audio, we're going to try and do some video. We're going to have some LA Angels Insider TV, hopefully, some LA Angels Insider Radio, and our columns from before. If you're
new to the LA Angels Insider site, there's a lot of great Angel sites out there. Halo's Heaven, Angels Win, True Gritch, Monkey with a Halo. A lot of great coverage of Angels baseball. Where LA Angels Insider is a little bit different is because I do the pre- and post-game show, mostly the post-game show, but a little pre-game show. Morgan Spokny, who's with us here tonight, who also contributes to AM 830. We get a little bit closer to the action, as do you. Eric, you're in the clubhouse and on the field quite a bit. So the stuff that we're going to add to LA Angels Insider in 2012 is a little bit, kind of like you said, it's a lot of the same, but it's a lot more. And what I mean by that is, photos from in the Angels clubhouse, in the Angels dugout, on the field, what's going on with the players, kind of on a personal and professional level. We get around them quite a bit. We're not tied by the same restraints that the Register and the Times are. Of course, we're going to respect the relationships that we build with those players and not give anything up that makes them look too good or too bad, because we have to be somewhat objective. But this is a fan site, right?
Absolutely.
We're all fans of the team. We cover it, even myself, not really because of the money. It's because of the enjoyment of covering Angels baseball.
It's been a lot of fun the last couple years. We've had it down, 2 down seasons in a row, and now here comes Albert Pujols. It's time to get your Angels info from LAAngelsInsider.com.
And Morgan Spokny is with us tonight, who goes by the Spokester on Twitter. We did Angel Talk for beginning of last season before Rex and I started doing it, and we've done some shows since then. Helps out with Roger Lodge quite a bit, but really has kind of a insight to baseball on a statistical level and really an analytical level that a lot of people don't have. You weren't originally an Angel fan, but as you've watched this team and seen what's happened this offseason, it's kind of hard not to become one.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I didn't grow up around here, so obviously wasn't an Angel fan. Grew up in Oregon.
What was your favorite team?
Again, growing up in Oregon, you kind of have the advantage of being a fan of everyone. So I've always followed Major League Baseball in general. Of course, the team that was locally on was the Mariners, and my family's from New York, so I was kind of a Yankee and Mariner fan, which made things interesting when they used to go head-to-head in the playoffs.
I gotta ask you. So, as a Yankee fan,
yeah,
the Angels owned the Yankees. I mean, it was one of those jokes you'd hear in the stands occasionally. It'd be like, "Who owns the Yankees?" And be like, "We do." We do. As Angel fans, you felt like that was the one team that you would go up, and Angel fans knew they were going to beat. Red Sox, on the other hand, there's 30 years of pain associated with that team. Did Yankee fans, as a Yankee fan, how much did you feel that?
Well, I mean, I think the Angels don't necessarily own the Yankees. They were the one team who had a 500 record or better against the Yankees and knocked them off a couple times in the playoffs.
Well, isn't that enough, though? Because I can tell you it does not matter. There was a year,
I don't know
a few
if that
years ago.
qualifies as ownage. I think they held their own.
I think it is ownage.
Okay. The Angels knocked off the Red Sox once.
Yep.
The Red Sox own the Angels in the playoffs.
And that's where I was going to go with this.
Well, I mean, in the history of baseball, beating a team one time in the playoffs, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's very nice, but let's not get carried away here. It's one time, and as I said, that's just in Scioscia's reign as manager.
No, Terry Collins owned him too.
It is. Okay, but let me be clear on that.
Okay.
So I was an Angel fan. I sat outside the stadium in 1986 waiting for World Series tickets. Got World Series tickets. There was no World Series because of the Boston Red Sox. And the Angels had a couple opportunities to win that series, and it was a great year. It was one of those teams that was probably one of the best teams in Angel history and didn't make the World Series. But then in 2004, 2005, 2007, all these years of getting beat by the Red Sox. But this is kind of where I bring it back. the Yankees had more than one key loss. There was a couple of years, including the 2002 season, and then again in 2005, where the Yankees lost in series where they were favored. They did beat the Angels last time they played in 2009, was it?
Yes, in the ALCS.
In 2009 in the ALCS. The years run together when you have as many playoff runs as there has been recently. Last couple of years withstanding. But the Red Sox was a team that scared the crap out of me, and I had a lot of hate for the Red Sox.
Are we talking about 86?
I'm talking about 30 years of pain. I'm talking about
if it was 86, 96.
I'm talking about
2006.
getting swept after winning 100 games by the Red Sox. I'm talking about 86 and Dave Henderson. There's a lot of hate for the Red Sox. I just would assume with the payroll, with the expectation, with the East Coast bias and the we're better than you attitude that comes out of that area, getting beat consistently by a team, it's got to sting just a little bit.
I mean, again, I'm a fan of all teams in Major League
Why won't he
Baseball.
give this to me?
Because, you know what? As I said, the Yankees have 27 world championships.
But how many of them were before you were born?
Quite a few.
And I want to talk about
well,
that.
The
for a
Yankees
second.
won 96, 98, 99, 2000, lost 01.
I mean,
Then had a dry spell, I believe, what was it, 09? Was the last one that they got. So I witnessed...
most of them didn't happen before TV, did they really happen?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. That's the whole tree falling in the woods scenario. I don't know. I wasn't there. You're right. It could be a fabrication. But I'm going to assume that they're not lying to me completely. There might be a couple lies out there in the universe, but I'm going to accept that one as truth. And I'm, it is a little difficult for me to give you that one because it's one time.
Okay, real quick.
One time.
And
One time.
And you know what? No, the one time that the Angels knocked off the Yankees and then went on to win a World Series themselves. And that year, you got to give them kudos because they beat everyone. That was a team of destiny. And as a Yankee fan, looking back on it in retrospect, you say, you know what? We didn't stop them. The Giants didn't stop them.
Twins didn't stop
No
them.
one could stop them.
But that, and
So
you're-
that
and
you know
you're right.
what? That was a great team.
I'll
That
give
was
it
a
to you.
team.
That was a special team.
Special
That's
team.
a year that the 10-year anniversary of that, fans still celebrate that. And this isn't an Angel Yankee thing. You're an Angel fan now.
I'm an Angel
You
fan.
still may be a Yankee fan, but you're covering the Angels on a regular
There's
basis.
a soft spot in my heart for the Yankees, but I am an Angel fan.
You were at the Albert Pujols C.J. Wilson press conference. We're going to get into a little bit later. You go as far as to say maybe one of the greatest off seasons. Well, we'll all say it's one of the greatest off seasons. You said it might be the greatest offseason in Angel history. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You can find all this information at LAAngelsInsider.com. You want to follow them on Twitter at LAAngelsInsider. Follow me at Twitter at Jason M. Brennan. And follow Morgan at The Spokester. So if you want to chime in.
Can I just chime in, though? I guess the caveat to that statement, I don't really use Twitter. So if you're going to follow me on Facebook.
No.
Yeah, here's my issue with Twitter, guys. It's such a small space. You can't write anything worth value. I like Facebook.
This gets right back to my general consensus on the way Morgan is as a person, though. He has a hard time putting quick, concise
Not
pieces
interested.
together. You want to put in a long dissertation that you want people to spend hours and hours analyzing. I don't have that kind of time. So follow him on the Spokester. We're going to get him to hit up on his Twitter more often. Let us know what you think. He does a special, a little segment we're going to show later on, Fact or Fiction, where Morgan takes some of the big headlines in baseball and we go through the kind of around the table and say whether it's fact or fiction, whether we think it's going to happen. But we want to have a lot of interaction with this show. We want people to call up, and we'll get that set up in the next coming weeks. Hit us on Twitter, hit us on Facebook, and let us know what you think. We'll read those online, on air. And, there is a big Angels family out there that follows this site, this show, this Twitter, and it's always fun to get those guys involved because some of the funniest guys you'll ever meet in person or online, and we want to throw a shout out to them, the people who call themselves Angels family. Make sure you participate in the show and look for them during the season because the Orange County Register and Keith Sharon do a very nice job at bringing a community together of Angels fans. We want to make sure we acknowledge that and we get that out there.
Hey, Jason, if I could for a minute, I just need to interject. I heard you tease everybody that we're going to play the Fact or Fiction game, but I also heard you admit several other key components of today's show. You teased everyone and told them that, I love the offseason, which I do. Some have said it's a Pyrrhic offseason, but I have to totally disagree 100%. This was absolutely, without a doubt, the greatest offseason in Angels history. And we're going to argue that in a little bit. But, we're also going to talk about the plethora of offensive bats. We're going to hang out with Ricardo Marquez. We're going to talk about Hall of Fame snubs. And then I'm going to go on a tirade, just letting everyone know, about how ridiculous, how crooked, and how arbitrary Cooperstown really is. I mean, it is one of the weirdest places on planet Earth. Then we're also going to go through and we're going to talk about who made our 2011 Angels Hall of Fame. So I just wanted to throw that out there so we could have a proper tease so that, for the next 2 hours, people have an idea of where we're going to go with this show. So, with all that said, I want to go back to you now, and I want to hear you refute and tell me why I'm wrong and why this wasn't the greatest offseason in Angels history.
I'm excited about the offseason. It's a little early for me to call it the best offseason ever because I think you saw, even as recently as the last year that Disney was here and they went on their spending spree, you can bring in a lot of big names. You can bring in a Vladimir Guerrero, Bartolo Colon, and you don't necessarily win the division. You don't win any World Series. A lot of it still remains to be seen. I think there's still some work to be done. There's still some flaws in this team. I think it's a playoff team. Obviously, I'm incredibly excited about the addition of Albert Pujols, C.J. Wilson, making the Texas Rangers weaker. But I don't know that you can make that determination here in January, especially you kind of have to wait and see what happens with some of the other teams.
This is Eric from LAAngelsInsider.com. If you want to compare it to 2004, which before this year I thought was the greatest offseason, you had Vlad, Colon, Escobar, and Jose Guillen. This year, Weaver, Kendrick, Pujols, and Wilson. Arguably, you could say Pujols and Wilson is like getting Guerrero and Colon again.
A lot of people have not brought that up, but that is clearly the catalyst to the offseason. Because if you don't have Weaver, you don't get C.J. Wilson, because they're obviously buddy-buddy. And then also, if you don't have the pitching, I don't think Albert Pujols wants to come out here. Because I think he sees the strength of the club as a dominant pitching staff. 1 through 4, we could have 4 20-game winners. And that might be a stretch, but I think Pujols saw the writing on the wall, saw an excellent pitching staff that's going to help him get to the playoffs, and is going to help him as he kind of regresses in his career to possibly mask some of his lack of production. And he's still going to be winning. And it's not going to be one of those cases where a guy signs a huge contract, the team starts to falter, and everyone points their finger at them and says, well, wow, that franchise really messed up.
This is the big controversy of the offseason is, are the Angels going to regret this contract? If they win one World Series in the 10 years, how can you?
I'm trying to evaluate everything that you threw out there, and it's early in the offseason still, but I think to throw Jared Weaver as part of the offseason is okay to do because it's a move that was made. It was a move that was kind of hanging over the organization. It was one that needed to be made. It was made, the end of last year. You want to throw it in, that's fine. I don't know that you can credit the offseason for part of that, but it's a big move that was made, independent of the Albert Pujols move. I think the Pujols move, you're getting the best player of our generation. His best years are probably behind him, but he will have many incredible years here in Anaheim if past history supports, right? I mean, he's had a very good run up until this point. He's a several-time MVP. He's got a good postseason resume, a couple of rings already. It's a great move. But to say that he made the move because of the pitching staff or because of anything other than he was offered a 10-year contract, I think it's a little naive. I think he was offered a great contract. He felt supported. He felt wanted by the Angels. And I think he came over for those reasons. And in return, the Angels brought him in knowing he could set long, hallowed records in home runs, hits, RBIs. He could be the first Hall of Famer to go in as an Angel. I think he's always going to be a Cardinal first, and that's going to be difficult to pass up. But there's a lot of value in this move for the Angels organization. But let's face it, 2 months into the offseason, nobody else is making offers anywhere close to this to any other players out there. Albert Pujols came here for the money.
And I do think that's a good point. If you look at Prince Fielder's market, wow. I mean, that thing is drier than the Sahara Desert right now. I don't see him really signing a long-term deal. I think he's going to end up getting a 4 or 5 year deal, and he's going to be very happy with it. Teams that are available right now that I've been hearing about, the Mariners, I don't know if he wants to go up there. The Nationals, they might have the money right now,